Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Regards. It is officially time. The Regards Show has begun on this fine Monday evening, coming at you from Wisconsin. And fantastic. Very, very excited about this, by the way. Don't forget, you can always get at me at Regards Show on Twitter. Also send in emails at theregardshow@gmail.com. And I kind of want to give a little bit of a lowdown on what exactly this is all about. There's a lot of fantastic shows that are already out there. This is being brought to you by the ggChronicle, obviously online, ggChronicle.com. They've got a fantastic podcast, a couple actually, Trinity Force podcast, Meta Musings, and a few other things. But there's not really much out there that is specifically esports related, and that's what this is going to be a lot about, is esports related, and it's going to give you a chance to voice your opinion, what your thoughts are on everything that's going on, and kind of dive a little bit deeper into the different things that are going on. And the neat thing about this, it is going to be interactive. I want to hear from you. I want your content to be on here as well, but I don't want bad content. Don't give me crap content. That's the big thing. We want good content. And I think a perfect example of good content versus bad content. Let me give you an example of good content versus bad content. Last week, and we're going to be talking about this in just a bit, actually. We're going to be talking about a few of the roster changes that happened. One of the things to talk about, the different lineup changes, but there's a picture there's a picture that was released of CLG with a photoshopped picture of Chowster's face on a butcher with a butcher's cleaver with Loco Doco's head underneath it, and behind him, you know, the heads of St. Vicious, Voyboy, and Elements. That's good content. That is hilarious. And there's a little bit of truth behind that, a little bit of fear behind that. Don't give me content. Okay, I don't want content that is a picture of Hotshot GG's head on Swain saying, "Why, Nunu, why?
Why, Nunu, why?"
Don't give me that. Don't give me the why, Nunu, why. I don't want that.
Why, Nunu, why?
Listen, we want quality content. Tweet in now at The Regards Show. Shoot in your emails, theregardshow@gmail.com. And listen, I would love to have you vocally on the show. I'm not really sure how to go about that. If you think you have an idea on how we can go about getting you on here vocally, we've thought about Skype. We thought about going Ventrilo. We looked up a few different things. I still have a few more ideas to go on there. I want to be able to take phone calls. I want to be able to take your phone calls, get you on here, and hear your opinion. So, we'll be kind of exploring different ideas. This is a weekly show, so we have time to kind of figure that out as we are moving forward to 2013. And the way this works, Jaden, I got my man Jaden. He is on Skype here with me. You're not going to really hear too much from Jaden, but he's going to be filtering in the content to me. He's going to let me know your tweets that are coming through. He's going to let you know the emails that are coming through. Possibly even the stuff that's coming through the twitch.tv chat. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. Normally the stuff that comes in through twitch.tv chat is... I mean, it's awful. Like, let's be honest, it's pretty bad. So that's just kind of the way it is. So if there's a few good things, maybe we'll be taking a look at that. But we're probably going to be looking mostly at the Twitter and the Gmail, at least for today. So send in your thoughts at The Regards Show or theregardshow@gmail.com. And I think with that, we can go ahead and hop into the first segment. And here's the deal: anytime. We'll take the content anytime. Doesn't matter if we're in the middle of a segment. Doesn't matter if we're in the middle of talking about something. We'll take the content. So send it in. Again, Twitter at The Regards Show or Gmail, theregardshow.com. We'll talk about a few things that happened. It wasn't actually this week. It was this past week, and there was two kind of major lineup changes, at least within the North American scene. Of course, I'm talking about Loco Doco leaving CLG Prime, and I Will Dominate, essentially getting the banhammer out of Team Dignitas. And there's a few things I think we can talk about this, because seriously, Loco Doco leaving CLG Prime, that picture, go back to that picture with me. I want you to imagine this. Here's a butcher that has a butcher's cleaver about to strike down onto his table, and photoshopped onto the head is Loco Doco. Photoshopped onto the head is Chowster. Behind him, you've got St. Vicious, you've got Voyboy, and you've got Elements. And there's a little bit of truth behind that. I don't think a lot of people are going to be stepping into CLG Prime feeling extremely confident in that position. I know they're doing tryouts. I know they're looking at a few different people, but I feel like you would probably step in there with a little bit of sorry, I just did end up getting something on Skype here. You're gonna walk into that with a little bit of hesitancy. Let's be honest. You're gonna be walking into that because you have this team, a lot of history, right? Very solid team, very solid history, very solid players. But you've had this one position that seems to kind of it's been rocking for the past while. And somebody brought up a really good point. None of the supports that have played on CLG Prime have really been support mains. They really haven't had necessarily a specific support main for a while. I mean, Elements probably was the one before that. So, yeah, you guys aren't going to see the picture. Here's the deal. This show, I'm going to go ahead and say, you're not going to see the picture. You're probably not going to see a whole lot looking at the stream. You can go ahead and have the stream up and just be listening in. This is going to be a very audio-based show. I'm not very good at the technical side of XSplit, things like that. This is an audio-based show. It's just kind of, unfortunately, the way it's going to be for a little while until I get a little bit more proficient with it. That's just kind of the way it rolls. So anyways, back to it. CLG Prime. They haven't really had a support that has been a support main in that position. So people are going to be stepping into that with a little bit of hesitancy. Okay, a little bit of hesitancy. I don't know. It'll be very interesting to see how the support tryouts go, what they decide to do. I have a feeling they're already leaning towards a specific person, and we've seen that on Skype, Twitter, and that's been Nat, who's played a few games with them. But it'll be interesting to see. Now, the other big lineup change that happened, and I don't even think it's really fair to call it a lineup change. It was a lineup butchering, because let's be honest here, this came out of the League of Legends forums, and it came out of nowhere. I'm sure a lot of the people that have played in high ELO play knew a little bit about what was going to be happening, but I will dominate getting the ban hammer from season, at least the first year of Season 3. I don't think Season 3 is going to go longer than 2013, so I will dominate getting completely booted out of Season 3, which is, you know, I've been sitting on this and thinking about this for a long time. It's justified. You think about this, he had 8 bans before that. Now, you look at things like the NFL, the NBA, they have game suspensions. You know, people are banned for a couple of days, right? Maybe they're banned for a couple of games. Maybe they're banned for an entire month. You rarely see an entire season worth of a ban. However, you see them rarely, but they do happen. And Riot was like, listen, this is the bottom line. If you are getting booted out of our game, out of the game client, we are not going to have you in our esport. It just doesn't make sense to have you in our esport. So they basically said, they went on the forums, they laid it out, they said, you know, this is an unfortunate day in League of Legends esports, which it was. Let's not sugarcoat this. This was pretty... This was a pretty heavy news that came out. So I will dominate. He got the ban hammer from League of Legends on the esports side. It'll be interesting to see what happens. The question is, does League of Legends as an esport have the longevity to make it past an X amount of years? Because we really haven't seen esports go much further than, say, 10, 15 years tops. And I think it's pretty fair to, if we were going to take this in the esport direction, to compare it to things like the NFL, to the NBA, to the MLB, where there's been almost 100 years worth of tradition, where we can look back and we can say, okay, well, this is what they've done and this is how it's affected their sport. Let's go ahead and grow from there. So I think it was justified. If it was his 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st, maybe not. You know, it's hard to say, but it was probably justified. It'll be interesting to see the route that Dignitas decides to go in that. But seriously, what do you have to do? I'm kind of curious. What was I Will Dominate doing? What was he saying that last game that he was banned? What was he saying? Was he like, hey, yo.
See that? That's your IQ, buddy. 0.
Man, he's rolling out at people and saying, hey, yo, buddy, your IQ is 0.
See that? That's your IQ, buddy. 0.
YOLO.
See that? That's your IQ, buddy. 0.
Yeah, I can't imagine what exactly you were doing being a representative of the esport in the game getting banned. I mean, really, it boils down to this, and I think this is something that we can take out of the game altogether, and this is something that we could probably learn to do just a little bit better. Is
Get your mouth shut.
period. All right, that's the bottom line. Is if you're a professional player and you're raging, and you're gonna rage, it's gonna happen. Especially as a professional player, you're gonna rage. Probably the best bet is just to get your mouth shut.
Get your mouth shut.
Just do it. Just don't say anything. Do what you have to. You know what? I don't care if you have to take out every single button out of your keyboard except for the QWER and then SD and then 1, 2, 3, 4, because you can't really say a lot of bad things with just those keys. I don't care if you have to do that. Keep the mouth quiet. All right, you're not just talking about the esport. You're not just talking about a game. You are talking about your life for the next year. And you're getting banned out of a salary paid position is what happened. There's no excuse for that. There is no excuse to get banned 8 times out of a salary paid position.
Get your mouth shut.
That's the bottom line of it. You have to just keep your mouth shut. So there we have it. We had 2 pretty big lineup changes, at least out of the North American side. There's been a few different changes that have been happening, EU and Korean. I've got to admit that my knowledge isn't completely up to par with EU and Korean to really comment on that too much, but I have a feeling we'll see Loco Doco again pretty soon, either in the Korean or European. He's already been talking about that a little bit. I will dominate. Who knows what we'll see, and we'll see what Dignitas decides to do to fill in that piece. So you're in the Regard Show, by the way. Don't forget, you can let your voice be heard here on the show, tweeting at The Regard Show or shooting us an email, theregardshow@gmail.com. Let me know what you think. Was the ban justified? Do you think that it was fair? Do you think that it was, we should make a separation between the game and the esport? Should there be that separation? I mean, that's a fair point that you can make. Should there be that separation between playing street ball, NBA player playing street ball versus playing on the courts? Should we make that distinction or should we not? Send me a tweet at The Regard Show. Shoot me an email, theregardshow@gmail.com, and let me know. Still on the way this hour, we have a possible interview. We're going to probably be getting together with Voyboy from Team Curse. I know that he had a game at 5 o'clock Pacific time, which is right now 7 o'clock Central Time. So we'll see if we can get him towards the bottom of the hour. That'll be 7:30 p.m. Central Time, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And if you're all the way on the Pacific Coast, that will be 5:30 your time. We're trying to get Voyboy from Team Curse. We're also going to be talking about the different games. We're going to get a reset on a lot of the tournaments that have happened over the course of the past 2 weeks.
Get the reset. Oh, get another reset.
So we'll go ahead and reset a couple of those games. I know we had the TSM Invitational, the solo mid tournaments that happened this past weekend. Also the Thor Open that happened this past weekend. And we had the Siege Open that happened today. I actually wasn't aware of this until about an hour ago. So we'll take a look at that and see what exactly happened. And I think we should still talk about IPL 5. We're not that far removed from it. And it was a pretty big tournament. Pretty important to talk about tournaments of that size when you have all of the regions coming together to play against each other and pretty big prize pool. I think it's safe to say that it's important to take a look at this tournament and see what exactly happened, what were the differences. So we'll take a look at IPL 5 actually last. So still want to hear what you think at The Regard Show on Twitter, also theregardshow@gmail.com. Leave in your comments. Have a take. Don't be bad. Seriously, do not give me the why, new why. I don't want it. Go ahead. The Regard Show on Twitter, theregardshow@gmail.com. All right, let's hop in. Let's get the reset on a couple of these tournaments.
Get the reset. Oh, get another reset.
Yeah, there was the, let's take a look here. We had the Siege Open that happened today. I wasn't really too familiar with this, but I guess it was organized by Into LOL, sponsored by AOC and Razer, and it looks like a Moscow 5 victory. Underneath them, Curse Gaming EU and Giants Gaming. And this is pretty exciting to look at. A team that's been kind of up and on the rise has been Curse EU. Keep your eyes open on them. We're going to talk a little bit more about them as we make our way to IPL 5, but Curse EU has been in one of those teams where it's like, okay, what are you going to do? There wasn't that any kind of respect level. In the past couple of tournaments, they have started earning. They played a very, very tough bracket when they went into IPL 5. They took second here on the Siege, losing out to Moscow 5, of course. And I think they're a team to be looking out for. I think they're a team on the horizon. I think the same thing with Curse NA. We've been seeing them kind of being one of those B-level teams, you know, sitting right towards the B-A level, right around there, not quite getting into that A-level team. I think we're starting to see that at the Curse organization, so pretty big coming out of the Siege. The Solo Mid Series, Week 6 out of the Solo Mid Series happened over the course of this past weekend, and I think one of the things to take a look at is the fact that CLG Prime was last. CLG Prime was last in this tournament.
Why? Ah!
I'd probably be pretty frustrated too if I if I was CLG. But take a look at how this broke down. 8 teams in the series over the course of this weekend. Team Solo Mid took first. Curse Gaming took second. Team Fear took third. Xquantic fourth. Quantic was 4th, Team Dignitas 5th, Team Dynamics 6th, Meat Playground 7th, and 8th, CLG Prime. And you know, the big thing, Curse Gaming, who are generally well known as the Curse Gaming as the bench squad. Okay, let's face it, they're known as the bench squad from CLG. A lot of ex-CLG players, they 2-0'd CLG right away in the beginning. That's got to feel good. Let's not lie. It's got to feel very, very good. So cool to see that, and cool to see them take second place. I think, again, Curse Gaming, I think on the NA side and I think on the EU side, they're teams to be watching out for. And it's exciting to see Team Fear making third place. This is a team that we've seen such high expectations, especially out of the bottom lane. Aframu, Muffin Cutie, both known as one of the strongest AD carry support combinations together. They just weren't able to do much. You know, I make the joke, and I'm serious. Aframu could get a pentakill in the game, and Fear would still lose and still place pretty low in whatever tournament they're in. Just kind of facts there. It happens. I've seen it happen. I've casted games where it's happened. Huge play from Aframu, and the team just completely, nothing's there. Nothing's there. Well, glad to see that they made something happen with the Solo Mid Series Week 6. This past one. So let's take a look at the Thor Open. This also happened, and I've got to be honest with you, it was casted in a language I have no idea. I have no idea. This was pretty much, though, this was the final game. Copenhagen Wolves versus Fnatic. This was the game number 2, and this was the cast that came out of it.
Fugă un rechin foarte bine pus acolo, în rated n-o să mai... Ba, uite că a scăpat, a folosit flash-ul peste zid, a venit și Soaz.
Yeah, I have no idea what was being said there. I'm getting told that it was casted in English, so I didn't see it. I didn't see any VODs on it. All I saw was that. I had no idea. But we saw first place come out of Fnatic, and this is one of the teams that made the jump. You know, we've been talking a lot about teams that are sitting B-line to A, kind of hovering in between B and A. This is a team that I think where it's official, we can say Fnatic is back to their A game. They came out of Season 1, won the entire thing. They won the World Finals, Season 1, and Season 2, they were a little bit non-existent. They started making a little bit of splash towards the end, and everybody knew XPK was a very strong mid player, but it was always kind of a struggle. Okay, what's Fnatic doing? Where are they at? Now we see them, they come out of IPL 5 and very, very strong. I mean, who didn't think that Fnatic was possibly going to take it at a lot of IPL 5. They ended up taking second place, but who didn't think that they were very close to taking first for a long time? I thought they were. I was very surprised that they didn't actually. After the end of Saturday night of IPL 5, I thought Fnatic was going to take it. I didn't think World Elite could take them, but they did. But anyways, we're talking Thor Open. We'll get to IPL 5 in just a second. Fnatic ends up beating Copenhagen Wolves, taking first. Copenhagen Wolves, of course, and this is a fantastic team to talk about as well. Copenhagen Wolves coming out of nowhere, and they're looking fantastic. This is a team that's coming out and playing the big leagues and looking very, very good. Yeah, that's pretty much what I saw was something Soaz. So there you have it. Copenhagen Wolves did a fantastic job getting second. Fnatic, I really think they're. I mean, can we see World Series Season 3 Fnatic? I want to see that. I want to see. Can we see a legacy being born here already? 3 seasons into League of Legends. Can we see that legacy, and can we call that Fnatic? I think it's possible. I think so. There's a few other teams that are up on that level, but let's be honest. When it comes to the World Finals, you've got 2 winners so far. You've got TPA and you've got Fnatic, and Fnatic is looking like they can make the run in 2013. They are looking fan-stinkin-tastic. Fantastic. All right, IPL 5. This was the final call of IPL 5 that happened probably about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago.
Piqué having to use his ultimate to try and avoid the damage. It's a triple kill for Wei Zhao, though. He is stomping through them. Piqué goes down. It's a ultimate ace there. And Team WE just turning on the pressure, turning on towards the Nexus turrets.
They are going to tank this one up, Jack.
Much like the tournament, they just crushed the final game. It's only fitting. They lost a few for Fnatic, but that was brilliant execution for Team WE.
There you have it. It was fantastic. It was fantastic. And you know what? That was a great tournament. That was a great tournament. By the way, the cast there by Demon. I'm not sure what he's going by these days. D-Man, Joe Miller, and Jat, who, by the way, if you want a clinical on how to shoutcast, watch those guys. Man, what a fantastic tournament. That tournament was ridiculous on how good it was casted, how well it was played, the different teams that played in it. We saw all sorts of different cool compositions that happened. And I think there's a lot that we can take out of IPL 5 that we're already seeing happen in these past couple of tournaments that we're going to see happen in 2013. And I think we should run down the list here of a few of the things that we're going to see. One, we're seeing that North America is having a very tough time still with EU and the Korean, Chinese, the Asian teams. North America is just having a tough time. They are not adapting to the aggressive play style, and the Korean teams and the European teams are making the best calls on when to dive, and how to just make plays happen, whether there is a turret there or not. They're making plays happen. Whether a turret is there or not, they're making plays happen. And that's something that North America has to... It's something they have to adapt to, or they're just not going to make it. They're not going to cut it in 2013. Now, there are some things that North America was doing that was very cool. One of them coming out of Curse Gaming, they were kind of running a double assassin composition where they were running Kali up top with Voyboy, and in the middle they were running like Katarina or a few different assassins. And so they were running a double assassin composition instead of running a bruiser up top, and it was working really well for them. It was working really well because they were winning the lane pretty hard, and they were able to push from there. They were able to snowball their champions, and we've seen the snowball meta kind of happen, but not in the sense where there's going to be a double assassin composition, and they did a great job of it. Will we see Curse Gaming being the pioneers of 2013 in the North American scene? Maybe, possibly. We didn't see. We saw a very disappointing game out of Team Solo Mid where they really fell very quickly, ended up in the 9th, 12th bracket. They were the former winners of IPL 4, and they just did not do a whole lot. They didn't adapt too much to the play style. The highest NA team was CLG Prime, and they did play fantastic, but it really wasn't too much out of the blue that really happened. So I think that it was fantastic to see. I think the things that we can take out of IPL 5 that's going to launch us into Season 3 is the fact that North America has to catch up with EU and the Asian teams. That just has to happen. They have to adapt to what's going on. And the second thing that has to happen, there's got to be some more innovation. Now, it's going to come with the Season 3 items. That's going to come with a little more practice. That's going to come with consistency. But I think IPL 5 was a fantastic indicator of kind of things to come in Season 3. So there we go. That's what I have. Make sure to keep it here. We've got Voyboy possibly coming in. I know they had a scrim coming up about 23 minutes ago, so I'm not sure if we're going to get Voyboy on the show or not. We're going to wait. We're going to try to get him on. We also want to talk about, something I want to talk about is the number one thing Riot can add to Season 3 to make it fantastic. I think there's one more thing. They've gone ahead and they've altered the game. They've made it so that it's a lot more big, especially in the case of items. They've done a great job in the game itself, but what can they add to the esport to make it better? What can they add? What can they add? I mean, I want to hear from you. What do you think Riot can add from, not from the game perspective, but from an esports perspective? What can Riot add to Season 3 to make it better? Tweet at The Regard Show. Send me an email, theregardshow@gmail.com. Let me know what you think Riot can add to make Season 3 as an esport better. I mean, there's a few things that I think they could do. The best thing I'm not going to announce quite yet. A few of the things that I think they can do. What about this? Everyone's getting paid a flat salary coming into Season 3, right? That's what's happening. All the teams that qualify into Riot's Season 3 are going to get paid a salary by Riot. And that's fantastic. That's great. That's going to allow a little bit of self-sustaining within the esport, and they're not going to have to rely necessarily on organization. But there's something that we see in other sports when it comes to a paycheck that really affects the way the game is played, right? And that's different salaries. I mean, let's be honest here. In the NFL, you're not going to pay the same for a wide receiver that you're going to pay for a kicker. Are we going to start to see different positions getting paid more, certain players getting paid more, not necessarily based upon we're going to see them get paid on skill style, but not a flat level. Are we going to see certain players getting paid more? Are we going to see certain players shifting to other teams because they're getting offered more? I don't know. It's a possibility. It seems like that is a route that they could go into. I mean, what if we did this? What if Riot took the money, okay, say they're paying $35,000 a person. I have no idea what they're actually paying, but I'm just going to I'm going to go $40,000 because that's a little bit of an easier number to work with. $40,000 a player. You've got 6 players. That's $24,000, right, per team with 6 players because you've got the 6th player that's a sub. Now, what if they took that $240,000 and what if they made that the amount that the team is getting? Okay, that's the amount the team is getting. And what happens if the team is then able to distribute that how they seem fit to the players? What happens to League of Legends esports? Do we see specific people moving towards other specific people? And do we see regulations starting to happen to those specific teams? You've got certain salary caps. You've got certain parts of the season where you're able to trade, not trade. Are we going to start to see that happen? I'm not sure. I think that's a good idea. I think that's a possibility. That's something that could move esports in a direction because what that is doing is putting a value on being the best. Right now there is a value and that is kind of flatlined, right? I mean, you get paid a certain amount by being within certain teams, but you get paid, a certain amount if you're in a certain team. They pay you because of sponsors and stuff like that. But that's not necessarily guaranteed money, right? That's not guaranteed money. And so I think this is the part where we need to start seeing, here we go. Felix Sniper, they are definitely teams that are better off than others cash-wise. Absolutely. Do we make it a flatline amount that you have to be able to buy into Season 3 or Season 4, Season 5, whatever we make it to? Do we make it a flat amount that you have to buy into to be a part of it or that Riot gives you to be a part of it? There has to be some sort of regulation when it comes to the team amount altogether, but how you distribute it, I think, is going to be the important part. So we'll see what that moves into because right now we kind of have a flat line, and it'll be interesting. Looks like we are not going to get Voyboy on the show. They are just starting up a game against Complexity Academy, and looks like he will not be able to make the show this evening, which is unfortunate. We'll try to get him on another one. And a little bit disappointing because I wanted to talk a little bit about this. Voyboy, not just a great player, man, but if you don't know this about him, completed his international baccalaureate, very, very minded towards education, and I think that's really important. I think that's fantastic, and I think he's somebody that's kind of innovating the top position and doing a good job at it, so we won't have him in here for this afternoon. That is too bad. That's all right. We're going to continue on, though, into Season 3 as an esport, and the number one thing that I think Riot can add into Season 3 of League of Legends to make it fantastic. I still want to hear what your thoughts are. Go ahead, because really the only thing right now that's actually going is the Twitch chat. Let me hear from a couple of you guys. What do you think the number one thing League of Legends could add, Riot could add into League of Legends as an esport to make it better? Make it more even? Yeah, no question, replays. I fought this for a little while. I fought the replays for a little while just because I think it's something that's unnecessary with the fact that there's third-party programs. But I think replays would be good. I really do agree with you. The fact that we're moving into a system where they're going to be playing weekly games, they're going to know who they're playing against, you need the option to be able to film. You need the option to be able to watch film in an easy way, gather film, and to be able to analyze that. I think that's fantastic. Do I think it's the best thing they can add right now? No, I don't think it's the best thing because there are still options of getting replays, and there's still options, a lot of video on demands that go out there, a lot of content that's out for you to know exactly kind of what's going on, right? So I think that replays are good. I think it's definitely top 5, maybe top 10 of things that need to get added in. I don't think it's necessarily the number one thing. So I think it's fantastic. Another one that I think is very good, but I don't think is number one, is a college league. That's true. You know what? This Season 3 is going to define the professionals and not professionals. We're at a point where it doesn't matter what ELO you are. It doesn't matter if you are 2200 ELO or you're 1700 ELO. It matters if you're in Season 3. That's what's going to matter, right? It's going to matter if... there's no other part about it. Listen, here's the bottom line. You are a professional if you are in Season 3. If you are not, you're an amateur trying to work your way into Season 3 or Season 4, Season 5, whatever route we go with that. And that stinks for certain teams that don't get in there, that have played in some of these big tournaments. But I think what this is going to make is a solidarity behind it. Okay, these are the professionals. These are not the professionals. And I think a college league or something of a college league, I don't think we would necessarily have it as a college league because, see, the difference between esports and regular sports, and we were having this discussion before, is that esports, your peak is between 18 and 22. Regular sports, your peak is between 24 and 26, right? And so you're coming right out of high school going into professional. So to say it in college, I don't know. That depends on the longevity of the game itself. And I don't think it depends. It really depends on the longevity of the game. If we see League of Legends going into Season 7, 8, 9, then I think an actual college league would be fantastic. Until then, I don't know. I think a college type league, absolutely. I think something that isn't. I think that esports needs to get away from this qualifier to qualify for a qualifier to qualify for a qualifier to qualifier for a qualifier, and to just keep rolling with that until you finally get into this final tournament where you win, and that's the big thing. Because that's where it is right now. Qualifier to qualify to qualifier to qualifier. I mean, right now they're going to be having these MLG qualifiers to qualify to possibly qualify into Season 3. Right? And we need something other than that. If we have a college league, if we have an amateur league, which is essentially what it's going to be. Now, amateur isn't necessarily a bad word, but it is what it is. If we're going to have an amateur league, that also has to be a league. That has to have solidarity behind it. It has to have weekly games. It has to have the possible achievement of getting towards that professional level. And I think it also has to have that idea that maybe not as a team, but as a player, you might make it through, which is what we see in a lot of different sports. You know, we see a lot of people. So I think it'll be interesting to see. And there are a lot of amateur leagues that are out there right now. I think there needs to be a specific amateur league. It has to be known that this is the professional and then this is the amateur. And then go from there. That's going to be the way. All right, number one thing Riot can add to League of Legends in Season 3. Number one thing. We got 2 things left here for this for this show. Unfortunately, we will not be getting Voy Boy, and I still want to hear from you. Hit me, The Regard Show on Twitter, or send me an email, theregardshow@gmail.com. We've got 2 more things left for you. We've got the tweet of the week, and you know what? That could still be won by you. I want to hear a good tweet. You hit me with it, you might win the tweet of the week. Otherwise, I've got one picked out. I'm not sure, Jaden, you were supposed to pick one out. I'm not sure if you picked one out or not. But the tweet of the week, I've got one picked out. If you can top it, I'll throw it out there. If not, that's fine. You know, I've got one that's probably better than yours anyways. Here we go. Number one thing that Riot can add to Season 3 League of Legends esports is coaches. Coaches, and I'm not talking managers. Listen, I'm talking full-blown coaches. I'm talking the people that at the end of a game are going up and they are the ones doing the interviews, and they're saying things like,
They are who we thought they were.
Seriously, could you imagine that? They need coaches. Right now, the coaches are the players are the coaches. Because there is no... Why would Riot add coaches? Well, Riot's the ones that are paying for the Season 3 teams, right? Into the salaries or whatever. There needs to be coaches who are able to make calls, to do PR, to be able to point in a direction that is not just the team captain making the calls, because that's what we have right now. We have each team has a specific captain who probably is connected in some way to the organization that owns them, and it causes all sorts of conflict. I think if they add in a coach, you're going to have somebody who's able to tighten the reins, make for better competitive play, because the teams themselves are going to be better. They have the sub in there already. They've got the 6th player. They just need to add in a coach. You know what? If you want to call him a manager, fine. Whatever. We'll call them a manager. I'm cool with that. But we need to have somebody in there that's giving the teams direction and that's able to play the part of PR. But it has to be a mandatory position. I think there needs to be somebody who is there in a mandatory position, and they have to work with the team. I think that that is so necessary right now to Season 3 and for League of Legends as a whole to move in a direction that is going to be good. Otherwise, I think it's just going to continue to be a mess. It's going to continue to be, I think it's just going to continue to be a mess. And I think that's where we do. And we do. We see managers, and that's what managers do, but I think it needs to be a mandatory position. That's the thing. Managers, coaches, whatever you want to call them, it has to be a mandatory position. Exactly. Well, it has. Here's the thing. You can't just have somebody, the manager or the coach can't just be somebody that's scheduling scrimmages and, you know, scheduling their schedules, and that's about it. They've got to be the people that are sitting down with their team talking strategy. They've got to be the people that are at the blackboard that are drawing up strategies, talking about different champions, where to play stuff. It has to be... Okay, well, I mean, here's the deal. If that's the case, I think it needs to be a mandatory position, period. That's it. It has to be a mandatory position. And here's the thing. Could you imagine this? I want you to think about the earpiece during the game yelling out strats. How cool would this be? All right, you have a spectator mode that's a coaching spectator mode, and you've got the 5 screens on your screen of all of your players, and you're able to coach your team during the games from their perspective. Now, you are not able to see the perspective of the other team, but you're able to see the 5 screens, the 5 games that are going on from that screen. Coach's spectator mode. There you go. I think it would be interesting. I think it's the #1 thing they can add in to make this game better. I think it's going to move it as an esport, and it's going to be fantastic. I think it's going to be fantastic. All right, guys, tweet of the week. We haven't been hit by too many of them. In fact, we've got one. Felix Sniper, ban was justified. I agree. It was justified. My tweet of the week goes to... I don't have a cool audio file for this. I've got to make one. My tweet of the week. There we go. My tweet of the week. It's going to go to CLG Gaming. Now, this was hilarious when it came across my screen. IEM Masters getting ready to go. They sent out a tweet that says CLG EU will replace Taipei Assassins at IEM Cologne. And Counterlogic Gaming, CLG replies at IEM. This has not been confirmed with CLG Gaming. It is not 100% that CLG EU will be attending IEM Cologne. Ouch! Ouch! Oh my goodness. Don't. There you go. That was the tweet of the week coming out of, I'm going to give that one to CLG. So there you have it. Well, it's going to be a little bit of a shortened version of the Regard Show for the night tonight. That does it for me. Just to take a quick review, we're going to go ahead and reset the rest of the show, talk a little bit about what we talked about today.
Get the reset. Oh, get another reset.
We talked a little bit about the lineup changes. Loco Doco leaving CLG Prime. I Will Dominate getting the ban hammer, and it was justified. We talked about the tournaments that happened, how NA has got to adapt to the Korean, to the European, to the Asian, to everyone else, pretty much. They've got to learn to adapt. We talked about the Solo Mid Invitational, the Thor Open, IPL 5. Unfortunately, we did not get to the Voy Boy interview. Possibly we'll have him on next week. We'll see if we can get him for next week. He seems pretty down about getting on here and being a guest on the Regard Show. Season 3, we talked about it as an esport, what we can do to improve it. The number one thing I think we can add, coaches, coaching, spectating, and we laid down the tweet of the week. So you know what, guys? We're going to go ahead and wrap it up for the evening. We will have a video on demand available on the ggChronicle YouTube. By the way, a giant thank you to everyone over at ggChronicle for allowing me to at least bring this pilot version of the Regard Show. Hopefully they saw a little bit of it, they liked it, and we'll go on from here. If not, it's all good. It was fun to be able to do it at least one night, and we'll see where we go. Follow me at The Regard Show. Shoot me your emails, theregardshow@gmail.com, on things that you want to see on the show, things that you want to see going into 2013 and Season 3 of League of Legends Esports. Have a fantastic night. I'm out of here.